My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
All right, license 9FQN504. This is a sex offender, and they engage in sexual violence on the run, being molested while I'm inside of a car. This is speaking to the necessity of the very intense federal prosecution of the people of the state and the entity, the ability for the demonic, for the demon-possessed to terrorize you and then go on, literally on with the rest of their day. This is what you're looking at in the neighborhood Starbucks. This is what you're looking at when you are a patron at the hotel. And the demons are pacing up and down the street, including with demons that are driving CHP vehicles and driving LA Sheriff's Department vehicles and flying over in commercial airline planes, and then a sex offender that's going out of their way to touch you, okay, while they're exhibiting demon possession. This is the sex offender, okay? That's P.O.C. And they don't have to talk to you, don't have to look at you. And these are the ones that are unworthy to stay in this country. If they're not even natural-born citizens, deport them out of the country. All right, that's a demon, and the fake sun is right over my head. And there is nothing, is it ever a natural occurrence while I'm on the 134 at Woodman, and that demon is molesting, stalking, okay? While the entity is pacing with planes, I took pictures of the people of the state, their group stalking on an ongoing basis. I'm capturing documentation, and they're all going to be prosecuted for terrorism because the entity is terrorizing through everybody around you. So you're prosecuting a large ratio of the population in California for terrorism, and I want to document this sex offender because they're all engaging in the P.O.C. together. What one does, they're all doing together, but also what one does, they're doing while the rest of them are monitoring to that sexual violence. So I want to be clear. 9FQN504. And if this demon is not a natural-born citizen, she's going to be deported. Okay, and this is speaking to the sex offense that the state is engaging in. This is the state's pattern of conduct. That's why the light source, which is not the sun, is no longer over Courtyard by Marriott. Demons like this, sex offenders engaging in invasion of privacy, engaging in what is psychotic pacing while they're stalking in a hotel, checking in and out, and engaging in the state's P.O.C. while they're demon-possessed. All right, that's what fills the hotel, and that's why I'm going to sue Courtyard by Marriott. That's why these are the likes of those that are working at Courtyard by Marriott. It's their condition as well. Courtyard by Marriott has deep pockets, however, so you're going to prosecute criminally and civilly. All right, this is the entity that is still today, again, molesting with engineer light inside of the car. That's an impossible occurrence. Okay, that's a demon, 9FQ1504, and that's, let me be clear, that's worthy of federal prison. And the fake sun is right over my head. That's P.O.C. And if not a natural-born citizen, again, deportation upon federal prosecution. That's P.O.C. It is currently, again, I want you to see the light source. The honking of the horn is audible activity. They're all stalking. License plate, 9EVN389. Monitoring while the fake sun and the engineer light moves inside of the car. 9BMJ853. These are the same demons that are pacing on Ventura at Orion while the fake sun remains stationary there, and they're honking like they're going anywhere. This is the population stalking. All right, and that ongoing engagement in audible activity creation, that's actually impunity. While they know that you're documenting, that's how they're engaged in Title 18 conduct. Criminal activity. At Coldwater and Canyon, here's the fake sun over me. You're dealing with the mentally ill, and that's relevant to the ways in which the demon-possessed population is going to be prosecuted. The mentally ill, 9BMJ853, 8BV474. The mentally ill, 9EVN389, a sex offender, a demon-possessed terrorist acting with impunity with the state of California. Such terrorists, and every other one that I'm documenting by pictures and on podcasts, while the entity is pacing over this freeway with the fake sun over me with planes, and that's why I'm documenting the population and the sex offense that you're subject to. This is how they're monitoring together. When I'm in a hotel room, these mentally ill demons are pacing all around with engineer light ricocheting all over. They're in a circus environment. These are the terrorists that are the demon possessed, and they're doing it on the freeway, honking like they're not going anywhere. They're stalking. It's audible activity creation. That's the P.O.C. That's the mentally ill. That's the public safety concern by this lawlessness practiced by a population. And corrupt leaders such as Ronald Lawrence, corrupt leaders such as Don Barnes, corrupt leaders who are the same mental illness, demon possession, group stalking, state surveillance, okay? The closeted sex offender, the closeted psychopath, okay? The mentally ill public safety concern while they are in that position, engaged in the pattern of conduct that the entire population practices. 90FM184 is group stalking on behalf of and in concert with demon-possessed leaders such as Karen Bass, okay? Such as Ronald Lawrence, such as Dominic Choi. And they will be removed. Well, the public safety concern that's exhibited by the demon-possessed, that's who is sitting in these corrupt positions, and they're going to be removed as well, okay? Because this is speaking to what the entire state is engaging in. The ongoing criminal system that demons are practicing while they are sitting in positions that enables this to coexist, to continue and thrive. 9KPK336, stalking while the entity stalks over the freeway with a plane, and the fake sun is over me, not over Alvarado Gardens. And that's the ability to identify a demon in a commercial airline plane crossing path 8EDG097. This is how the demonic pacing is occurring in the sky space and on the roads and the highways in a demonic environment, okay? The demon-possessed will no longer have pilot's licenses. They won't. You need an education requirement to even get into law enforcement, okay? And you're talking about the ability to fly a helicopter. You're not just going to be some sociopath passing the academy so that you can go around wielding weapons, stalking people, killing them, controlling the narrative as to the threat that American citizen posed to you while you took their life while engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, in concert with the demons who surround bearing false witness about what happened. And they're all demons group stalking together, which no mayor is ignorant about the criminal and demonic practices of the heads of these departments that are engaging in the P.O.C. It is currently 12:55 p.m. The entity is engaged in demonic pacing, so I want you to see second by second another plane. So let me zoom out. So second by second pacing in planes. Right? This is what the entity is doing while they are stalking by helicopter as well over my apartment and over my office. The entity is using commercial airline planes. This is P.O.C. This is what Southwest was doing over Best Western where the fake sun remained over me. This is what the entity was doing at Planet Fitness, stalking by plane and helicopter while the fake sun was over me. That's recognizing state surveillance. The demon-possessed are molesting inside of the car with engineer light. 8GAR670. It's not a distraction. They're all engaged in criminal conduct together, and all their license plates are on video. 7YRY998. 9NAK259, 8VIV601. This is the terrorism that the entity is practicing with the demons that are pacing, repeatedly crossing paths right above the car while the fake sun is above the car. It's the ability to identify exactly who's being targeted. Exactly precisely who's being targeted. And the entity is doing it in a manner that is clearly identifiable because this is not possibly the sun while it's remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library. Documented down to the day and time. While it's remaining over Best Western, how am I able to capture it at 4 p.m. at the same entrance? Never is sunlight ricocheting onto underneath a shaded structure, just like the demon that I documented group stalking by being in the freeway lane adjacent to me. You don't have a free right and a constitutional basis. You're not exercising any privacy rights while you're engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking with the government, and you will be prosecuted, and it is an ongoing independent basis for federal prison for each charge. And everything I document while they're engaging in that P.O.C, such as impunity, which is what this is, you go to federal prison for it. All right, so currently it is, again, 12:57, 8BTE370, crossing path by commercial airline plane. Fake sun remains over me. 7BOH680, crossing path. License plate 9GPE905. Southwest Airlines crossing path, just like they were over Ovid Family Community Library under the fake sun, just like they were at Best Western in Costa Mesa, California yesterday under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. That's also speaking to the airports that are going to be prosecuted as well. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because the ability to prosecute the whole state is fully at the disposal of the American citizen who's subject to federal stalking and federal group stalking and monitoring. All of the people of the state, not only are they going to be prosecuted for terrorism, they're all going to be prosecuted for Title 18, 2261A federal stalking conduct. Okay? It is, again, 12:57 p.m. You're paying attention to the mere frequency of the planes. The presence of the light source that remains over me, and the ongoing harassment by demons who are engaging in stalking as opposed to going anywhere on the freeway. This is a population that's stalking. That's group stalking. P.O.C. BVF8957, and that's Arizona. P.O.C. All right, I just want you to see this old, crusty pervert. Him with a wife in the car. They're both sex offenders molesting me with engineered light. The fake sun is over my vehicle. License plate WWW-INC. That's a demon, okay? It's like over 80, has to be pushing over 80. And it's, first of all, serving Satan, okay? You're talking about Any day for them, and they're serving Satan, engaging in criminal conduct, and they're gross sex offenders, obsessed with touching me like every other demon. I captured images of the fake son over me. I'm going to show you right now in video. All of the enemy, by the way, every demon on this freeway knows what I'm saying. They're all focused on me the moment that they get on the freeway, the moment they get off, the moment they press on their brakes. They're all stalking with the audible activity creation. And there's nothing that's going to shoot into your vehicle while you cross path. That's a demon. Him and his demon-possessed wife, they're old, crusty, white-faced demons touching me with engineered light. Okay, liver spots and everything. That's what's so disgusting about Satan. WWWINC. I'm going to highlight the sexual violence that the entity engaged in, and you're going to see old crusty minions like that. We're going to be prosecuted for sexual violence. Touching 9JPK845. And this is relevant to the P.O.C. And this is the sex offense that the population practices. And you're going to be prosecuted as the sex offender that you are while you're engaging in what is terrorism, while you're engaging in what is criminal surveillance. This is the sexual violence that Ronald Lawrence. Understand how it goes right to the state. Ronald Lawrence is a sex offender, a demon-possessed one, engaged in the same pattern of conduct. Those demon-possessed sex offenders stalk in helicopters. They do so in concert with these demons that are surrounding all around. Okay? So that crusty, white-faced minion, him and his wife, together, terrorizing people on the run, just like this one, not different. A sex offender. Okay? Engineered light shooting into your car, that's an impossible occurrence, just like it's impossible when they drive by me at the hotel and engineered light moves all across the DMV, moves all across the Social Security office, moves all across the inside of my ceiling of my apartment at Alvarado Gardens. They're demons. All right, and they're sex offenders. They like to molest and violate the person. And they're going to be, federal group stalking and monitoring shall be an exceedingly violent sex offense. Here's the fake sun that's right over me, which is how you know they're all stalking. You can see it through the windshield, and you can see it right over my head. Let me open up my screenshot. Here it is right here, right over the top of my head. Let me zoom out so you see who everyone likes to touch on me. This is a demon-possessed orgy that I never consented to. Not only are they stalking, the demons want to touch all over me. While they have custody of children, they engage in sexual violence. While they are married, and they have wives and sisters, and they're sexually violent predators. 8BOK056. That old crusty WWWINC, an old crusty sex offender, equally a threat to any woman. Okay, and he is sitting there. His wife is a demon-possessed group stalker as well. Do not be deceived, because the state of California that's corrupt has not convicted sexual violence on the basis of the demonic means whereby sexual violence is underway. That does not mean that they're not sex offenders, because that's exactly what they're practicing. And they're all going to be prosecuted. This is what the state of California is, and that's what the state of California is going to be prosecuted for. This is the phenomenon, and this has nothing to do with engineer light moving all on the inside of my car, touching all over my breast, all over my person, like they do every other place where I'm at. That's how you're tying together a population's criminal conduct. And this foolishness is based on born of their mental illness, which demon possession is directly tethered to the mental illness, which is made manifest through their conduct, their pattern of conduct. Okay? It is, again, 1:17 p.m. The fake sun is documented over my head in the same manner at Alvarado Gardens at 1:17 p.m. This is the P.O.C. 9GNS069 is under a light source that's not the sun, that you can see through the rear windshield. It's not over Alvarado Gardens, while you can see it through the rear windshield. And that's the identification of a demon and a stalker. And those that are engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring are exceedingly violent sex offenders. They like to employ sexual violence through demonic means so that you can never report it. The sexual violence, the violation of your person, the molestation that you're subject to. That's what Satan engages in. P.O.C. License plate with liver spots 9LLC979. Okay, sex offenders like touching all over me while they're 67, 92 years old, okay, group stalking me with the rest of the minions. Okay, no stalker has any consent to touch me. Neither does any stalker that employs demonic methods to do so while they're stalking. Stalking. That's what's so absurd about the people of the state. And they're going to be prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, looking to the left and right while they're molesting and terrorizing with engineer light. And the fact that they engage, you know exactly what directed light is. It's all over my ceiling, documented inside of the apartment of Alvarado Gardens, and inside of the office at Alvarado Gardens, and all over on video on the wall of the DMV in Glendale, and all over the sidewalk, and all over my person in the side, and the walls and the structures of the Social Security office at Columbia and 8th Street, and all over the sidewalk as I documented the people of the state, group stalking all throughout San Bernardino County. Okay, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, the 215 East C Street, Ovid Family Community Library, any random apartment complex, even while the demon possessed are driving by me on Holt Boulevard, the demons one after another, an engineer light moving all across the sidewalk and all across my person, because they're violent sex offenders that are obsessively consumed with not just following me around, but touching all over me. That shall be prosecuted as a sex offense that it is, while they serve Satan. TG T6182, that's Georgia. and that's a commercial vehicle. This is P.O.C. 1:18 p.m. This video documentation is used to prosecute the entire state of California because you're looking at the entire population engaging in the stalking conduct. That's what group stalking is. It's a crime committed by a population. And how? Because the unnatural environment remains over you. It's very targeted what the entity does in planes, very targeted what the entity does in helicopters. There's no ambiguity there. The entity does the same with engineered light. And you are going to be prosecuted for every unlawful touching. Just like any rapist, you're going to be prosecuted for the sexual violence and the mental illness that you are revealing as you engage in that. That's why you're getting mental examinations as well, people of the state. It is currently 1:19 p.m. This is P.O.C. I'm on the, this is now the 210, passing the Rosemead Avenue exit right up here for me. And it's not over Alvarado Gardens, and it's certainly not remaining over the Costa Mesa Police Department. This is not the sun that's over the Costa Mesa Police. That's the light source, and Costa Mesa Police are demon possessed. The same closeted sexual violence, the same closeted psychopath crawling into their helicopters, stalking me. And they are indeed stalking me, while the light source, all of the environment shows the fact that they're stalking and they're demon possessed while doing so. Okay, this is in Pasadena, speaking to what the population, where I'm going, the population is stalking. P.O.C. All right, this is video documentation to show who's stalking with the police. They're on motorcycles crossing path by getting in the carpool lane, and the people are group stalking with them. 00286G2 TGA3XM, that is an Arizona plate. And this is license 9LCX490. The entity is stalking on motorcycles. This is the state that's group stalking under a fake sun that's nowhere near the Costa Mesa Police Department. It's also nowhere near Alvarado Gardens, where the demon-possessed LAPD were stalking while a fake sun remained over me all day long. Here it is right over me, including 5ZFA182 are group stalking again, just like they were at Alvarado Gardens. While LAPD was stalking in helicopters on the freeway, the entity is stalking with corrupt terrorist organizations that stalk by using motorcycles and stalking on the freeway lanes on both sides. But they're crossing paths on this side and they're stalking with the police. That's federal prison. 8CLS 779. And this is a sex offense that the police are engaging in with them. 7SNS 543. These demon possessed, they like to engage in demonic orgies. They like to engage in touching all over me together. They're demons. Okay, and they're sex offenders. Stalking with the police, that's federal prison. 6ALE 592, 9LCX 490. Let me be clear, many routes to federal prison. Acting with impunity, monitoring documentation, federal stalking under Title 18, all independent bases for federal prison. The entity engages in an ongoing molestation while they are, as a population, this is hundreds of people molesting you over and over and over again. And then you're looking at their mental illness because they're engaged in the P.O.C, but also because they look to the left and right like nothing is nothing going on here, just a fake sun over your head and light shooting like lasers all over the place while they're looking to the left and right. That's why I zoom in so you can see the sex offenders' faces so that you can recognize their license plates. 5ZFA182 is going to federal prison, and they engage in a sex offense terrorizing with directed light. They're going to federal prison. That's fine though. This is the ongoing pattern of conduct. It's 1:35 p.m. 5ZFA182 also belongs in federal prison, just like all of them, but they specifically make a decision to cross path and engineer light shoots all over here while the demons are engaged in Title 18. The psychopath knows that they're being documented. That's somebody that's mentally unstable. That's what's animating all of the demon possessed, by the way. But that one's going to federal prison. Okay, 5ZFA with the Chevy, they're going to federal prison. They're stalking with the police, and the police are crossing path on a motorcycle. They did so twice, and so I'm documenting who's group stalking in the immediate environment, and they're also engaging in a sex offense. They like to do so while you are documenting them. That's the public safety concern. The sex offenders will not be working in law enforcement. The sex offenders will not be in the medical field. The sex offenders will not be working amongst children. The sex offenders will not be flying airplanes, and they will not be flying helicopters. They will not be in the legal profession because this is no ordinary sex offender. This is sexual violence committed by the government, by a public entity for purposes of state surveillance while engaging in also federal stalking. Okay, so understand what the prosecution of the people includes and why. H419Z1, molestation via directed light, and the fake sun is right over me, and that's how you know that that is indeed the case. But also, I've also shown you what directed light is. That's a sex offender, and they're going to be prosecuted as such. And that's sexual violence by an entity, which is going to be very heavily prosecuted and intensely prosecuted, like any other rape, like, for example, engaging in any other sexual molestation of children. It's the unwanted, unwarranted, unlawful touching. Demons do it with directed light to keep you under surveillance. SNT 2785, and they do so. It's relevant to the psychological torture that they also engage in while they are molesting you and terrorizing you and stalking you amongst directed light under the fake sun. So those license plates that I just read, that is federal prison, and they're also stalking with the police. So that's federal prison. I just want to point that out. It's currently 1:36 p.m. This is going on to to the prosecution for the entire entity, the people of the state. This is what the demons living at Alvarado Gardens were doing. While the entity would surround in my apartment and in my office and all over the property with engineer light, the entity was stalking by law enforcement, stalking in helicopters. This is en route traveling. So there's no sun over Alvarado Gardens, where 50892B2 is group stalking amongst engineer light and under a fake sun. Okay, and while you do so with the police, just like the whole apartment complex Alvarado Gardens are going to federal prison, these demons are going to federal prison while the government is stalking on the freeway with them, and they're engaging in a demonic orgy together. 7UBL004, and they will be removed from minor children. Any of the people of the state that I'm documenting, they have custody of minor children, those children are going to be removed. License plate 9HAJ328, engineer light appearing above on the inside of my car while they cross path. 6LYU34L. And this is what the ordinary target individual is surrounded with on an ongoing basis. I'm just giving voice to it, and I'm also speaking to what's the punishment for it. Okay, federal prison, removal from minor children, removal from all the areas and the industries in America where they pose that safety. This is what they're doing to people unbeknownst. So you're working in a medical field, you're in a hospital, and people are coming up dead inexplicably, for example, or they're being poisoned and nobody knows what's the cause. Oh, this is the type of malice that the people of the state are fully capable of engaging in. They're showing their mental illness and their propensity to do so while they're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. Such sexual offenders, such criminals, such malicious actors have no business in law enforcement or the medical field or the legal profession. None of them. They should be nowhere near children, teaching them how to practice satanic methods of targeting people. This is what the people of the state that include children in the P.O.C. are doing. That's why, and this is how all of the P.O.C., while the entity is engaging in it, is speaking to the necessary repercussions. So I want to be clear, the fake sun is remaining directly over my car. So let me show you how you know that this is a demon with license plate CU534 and that they're stalking. This is the fake sun that's remaining over me. I'm on the 210 passing Grand Avenue. How is the sun going to be over the entrance over my head in the same manner at 4 p.m. like I documented at Best Western in Costa Mesa? I went nowhere near Costa Mesa today. In fact, I juxtaposed my placement in Sherman Oaks with Costa Mesa. 9NAV910 is engaging in criminal conduct of a malicious nature with the government. Engaging in surveillance. 7CRW817. And in California, surveillance, which is demonic in nature, is occurring while you are going anywhere, doing anything amongst everyone around you. They are keeping you under surveillance, and they also engage in sexual violence, and they also engage in documented acts of terrorism while they do so. So the police are engaging in the P.O.C. They were crossing path 2 times on helicopter, not a helicopter, but well, they are. I just have not seen that. Remember, the entity's always doing that. But the entity is crossing paths on motorcycle right now, and they are also aware of what I'm documenting as I document. And so you're also understanding what is the coward. The coward will engage and wait until they stop recording video and then cross path again. Nobody has time to. I'm prosecuting the population, and everyone that I document, speaking to what they did while they did it. They're going to federal prison. You're all getting a criminal record as terrorists in California, and that's going to follow you. In every area where you think you are, where you're not going to remain there. If it's something that poses a threat, you're going to be removed from that. And you will never be there, because a prosecution for a conviction for terrorism in the state of California, that's not going to be removed after 3 years and you can have it expunged off your record. That's not what's going to happen either. Okay? It is currently 1:40 p.m. This is the fake sun over me on the 210 freeway, passing the Sunflower exit 43. And this is how you know that they're all demon possessed and they're all stalking. Besides the fact that they're molesting me, engaging in sexual violence while they're on the freeway. Which, by the way, the demon possessors are engaging in sexual violence on an ongoing basis. That's why it will be prosecuted as the perpetual sex offense. P.O.C. All right, I want you to document right now the state's stalking. This is license 8ZCH212. They're going to federal prison. The fake sun remains over me as I get on the 50, I believe this is the 57. This is the state stalking by getting in front of you. This is what they were doing when I left Alvarado and went to Monrovia, and they engage in criminal summoning by remaining in front of me. I want you to see the fake sun while the state stalks. This is the state actor crossing Covina Boulevard, and the fake sun is over me, not over Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD were stalking day and night in helicopters. This is the P.O.C. license plate. They're going to federal prison 86106P1 and license 10934Y1. This is how the entity that's molesting, and then the entity is just adding to the scene, the state acting directly while they're engaging in sexual violence together, and a fake sun is over my 6XDN211 federal prison. License plate 7EID 306. And I want to be clear, this is equally cowardly conduct. The demons that listen to me call them cowards because they are. They come and all they do is get everybody else is going to federal prison because that police department is going to be prosecuted. There's nothing heroic about that. They're going to federal prison. 1488283. That's the demon-possessed fire department. You already know that. This is the fake son that's over me. And this is failing to prove a point when you're stalking and when you serve Satan. This is what the entity does. So failing to prove a point, and also it ain't helping none of them. They're all going to federal prison. This is everything that the entity wants to do and thinks that you're not communicating that. You fail, you lost miserably, and you are stalking an American citizen who is prosecuting you. While you're stalking, you're not winning at all. BXC9286 federal prison. License plate. They're all going to federal prison. This is surveillance on the freeway. This is terrorism and harassment as an entity on the freeway. 8HAY143. These are demons that are affiliated with the fire department, Pomona Police Department, I want to be clear, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and the Los Angeles Fire Department. They're group stalking with the people, and they're going to federal prison. Okay, so license 5ZA, the one that was going to federal prison already, and they are 5ZFA182. And they're definitely going, and they're group stalking now with the state. And if he's not a natural born citizen, he's going to be deported. That's a Latino male wearing a red shirt. They're going to federal prison, group stalking with the state. All they did was get on the freeway. The fake son is over me. Everything that the entity is doing is based on me. These are demons who are obsessed while they are affiliated with police departments. LAPD has already shown that beyond a reasonable doubt. No one is doubting what the state just did on video, showing the cowards and the sex offenders, the psychopaths that they are. Those are the mentally ill that are on the LA Fire Department. Those are the mentally ill that are on the Pomona Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department. Group stalking on video so the world already knows. LAPD already showed the world what the state of California is doing. This is not traffic while the fake son is over you. This is the P.O.C. And all those license plates are going to federal prison. That's the P.O.C. This is it's very unfortunate, but this is public corruption that needs to be known. And while the entity acts with the state in that manner, this is how the government is engaging in the P.O.C. This is how you have a fake son that remains over an apartment complex all day and ongoing stalking by helicopter. That mental illness is what was riding on a motorcycle, stalking on a freeway, showing demon possession, showing the malicious, that is the demonic methods of stalking someone and psychologically torturing them while you're engaging and targeting them with the population. While that which is not the sun remains directly over the top of my car. Okay, that was a fire department stalking, and that was a police department stalking. And let me be clear. This is a mental illness. Why would anyone in their right mind engage in that conduct to the demise of every third party? And they deserve it, obviously. But if the result is you're going to federal prison. So who in their right mind would engage in that? The demon possessed. Those that deserve to be disbanded, those that will be removed from the profession. The fire chief, LA Fire, that fire chief, he's going to be removed. This is occurring on their watch because they're demon-possessed, Satan-serving psychopaths. They're criminals. This is public corruption. This is why you're being molested on the freeway. This is why you're being stalked on the freeway by psychopaths, mentally ill. The fake son's no longer over that demon on the motorcycle and the demon in the fire truck. In the California exempt plate, it's over me while I go to the 10 freeway. That's how you know that they're stalking and they're demon-possessed and they're engaged in Title 18. And that's not just that demon on that motorcycle, it's the whole department. And again, the entity, Monrovia Police, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Arcadia Fire Department, the Monrovia Fire Department, Falk Ambulance. You've seen demon possession. That's exactly what they just provided for the world to see again on video. And the people of the state that I documented by license plate, they're going to federal prison. And that's what the entity does. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes like time in federal prison. It is currently 1:47 p.m. This is P.O.C.
It is Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. It's currently 3:42 p.m. This is documentation via podcast of the criminal engagement in Title 18, federal stalking. That is in violation of Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2. This is underway as I have captured the specific environment while I am in Montclair, California. And this is at third-party facilitating venue, Metro Nissan. And this is the people of the state that are in custody and engaging in working on having custody of my personal property. That is my vehicle, which again is a brand new car that has less than 8,000 miles on it, less than 7,500 miles on it. And while I just want to be clear, notably documenting the engineer light. This is my upright shadow that's appearing far into the depths of this building.
That is the demonic and direct evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring in concert with the people of the state who are seated in relevant position inside of the building. They are group stalking with minor children as well. This is all manner of the P.O.C. And the people of the state and the psychopaths that are mentally ill that engage children in the elements of monitoring while they practice surveillance and they practice psychological torture as a society. So the entity is in the specific environment where the light source is directly above the building as well, and that's what I've captured. And as I'm also referencing their surveillance cameras, I want to specifically document her name is Samantha. She is on the cameras of the facility at Metro Nissan, talking to me, which is monitoring me. She's not acting by herself. She's monitoring with every single last person, including traffic all around this building. This is the pattern of conduct. So the entity is group stalking at Metro Nissan, and I just want to document what is the same entity that broke into my vehicle is the entity that is repairing my car. Understand that. Factually speaking, the entity that is engaged in the P.O.C. is the entity that engaged in breaking into my vehicle and then stealing what they already knew what was in there. No money, but stealing my identification, which was only serving the purpose of harassment and terrorism and intimidation. This is what the entity was engaging in while it was parked at Planet Fitness, where you know there's no sun, but a light source, as I documented yesterday at 4:07 p.m., where there will be no sun. The light source will not be over Planet Fitness in Los Angeles at Washington. The light source is also not going to be the light source, which is supposed to be the sun. Okay, this is evidence of what is the entity's group stalking by identification of the specific environment where the light source and not the sun, the specific environment and not the natural environment, the direct evidence of what is state surveillance and federal stalking by a population. And it is commercially underway by a facilitating venue that will be prosecuted for federal stalking and also prosecuted for state surveillance and prosecuted for facilitating the government and the people of the state to do so, to keep me surveilled at their venue while they are criminally using a business to do so. And that's relevant to the specific environment. And while the light source is directly over the top of my head while I am now in Montclair, which is not sharing the entrance of the Best Western at 4 o'clock. There's no way that could be the case, and that evidence is not coexisting and creating a streamlined evidence that is contradicting what the P.O.C. demonstrates beyond a reasonable doubt that the state of California is practicing federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is demon-possessed. Government actors all the way down to the constituents of the state while they engage in massive surveillance. And it is also relevant to what they're doing online, which is in violation of existing federal policy, Title 18, federal stalking. And so the entity that broke into my vehicle at third-party facilitating venue, Planet Fitness, where there will be no sun and the light source is not over Planet Fitness, the light source is over me while I'm in Montclair, where it's going to be at 407, and it's not also over the Best Western at 2642 Newport Boulevard in Costa Mesa. It's over me in Montclair, and it's not going to be at Best Western. That couldn't be the natural environment at 4 p.m., which is already on the record. This is where Samantha, a third party who is monitoring me through creation of her sentences that are captured on the surveillance cameras in Montclair, stating that my car that has less than 7,500 miles on it that I have not driven, and that is based on the criminal system that I've been subject to, the entity that broke into my vehicle, and after it was repaired by the people, the same entity that I had to pay to repair, understand all the ways in which and why the entity will be punished and prosecuted the way that it shall be. But operating in this environment where this public corruption is underway, this is all of the methods of harassment and terrorism that the American citizen is faced with. So the entity breaks into the vehicle, steals your property. The entity is the one that you have to report it to. That's your insurance company that's monitoring you every step of the way. The entity is the one that you're paying to have it repaired while it is monitoring you the entire step of the way. Going to have the vehicle going to the entity to have it repaired, and having driven the vehicle less than 7,500 miles. And again, it's notable while I'm documenting the P.O.C., while I'm here at Montclair, the entity, and while I'm referencing the surveillance camera, this is when the entity, speaking to Samantha, who knows that I'm using their surveillance cameras, arrives moments later on camera after I signaled to their surveillance cameras that P.O.C. is underway by an African-American child who is literally exhibiting the mental illness of pacing, doing so aware of the fact of what I'm documenting on a cell phone pursuant to the same demonic behavioral pattern. You are looking at demon possession amongst children while the people of the state are in custody of children and they are engaging in criminal conduct with them. I want to be clear, the government is engaging in criminal conduct with children as well. So understand what the people of the state are doing, that's what the government's doing. And they want to be looked at as legitimate law enforcement agencies. They encourage and rely on criminal activity by minors. That is also inherently sexually violent. That's the reality of the state of California. That includes chief of police and fire chiefs and mayors, all right, that are, and police officers and sheriff's deputies that are group stalkers and demon-possessed ones. So the entity is coming to me and communicating the fact that, oh, I've got an oil leak. Now I have an oil leak. And the entity is stating that, oh, in order to get that repaired, you're going to have to stay here a little bit longer. They're monitoring, okay? And they're also aware of the fact that I'm documenting the fact that they are monitoring and doing so. And any damage to my vehicle is something that the entity creates. And any repairs, it's something that, first of all, costs me money, and it's damages that the entity has created while they are documented engaging in the P.O.C. I just want to point that out. Metro Nissan Montclair is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. Every single employee, every single last one, the car porters to the janitors, to the ones sitting at all the desks. They're all on camera. They're all on this work schedule. They're all engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And they're all doing it with everyone surround. For example, Honda, which is right across the street in this auto plaza, they're group stalking, okay? And so is the people of the state that are across the street, and they're third-party facilitating venues that they call home, because the fake sun is over this location, and this is where the specific environment is, and there is no shelter from prosecution for engaging in state surveillance. That's why my shadow is appearing upright. And this is an extensive building on the inside of this lobby where Metro Nissan has the fake sun over it on the outside, and it is all covered. There's no sunlight, and there is no explanation other than what it is that I'm telling you. Demons surround, and demons are engaging in group stalking, and it is supposed to be a covert and secret engagement in such criminal presence, criminal noise creation, which is audible activity, and criminal methods of light activity, which you can identify and document, which is what I'm doing, inside of the venue. That's why you have impossible light on the ceiling inside of Metro Nissan. I'm going to drain their pockets. This is why you have impossible light on the walls inside of Metro Nissan, in order to touch my body, the sex offense, while I am being surveilled by both employees and patrons alike. All of them are demons. This is how you're understanding what the state is doing through the people of the state. Utilizing such businesses in any establishment, the pattern of conduct is underway. This is criminal facilitation of state surveillance and federal stalking by Metro Nissan, whose pockets I'm going to drain. And I'm also going to document the fact that they are creating issues with my vehicle, and then stating that they're going to repair it, and then they're going to charge me for it. So I just want to document all of that. Any and everything that's happening to my property is a result of the criminal activity of the entity, and it is grounds of federal prison. It doesn't change, because they are the ones that are going to engage in a so-called repair. And so it is currently 3:51 p.m. and I will be documenting more while I am inside of Metro Nissan, and the entity is engaged in Title 18 conduct. And there are vehicles that are covering the shaded glass windows, but yet my breast area, my chest area, is being molested with engineered light, because the demons are hostile, while I'm listing out all the license plates of people who are going to federal prison, because they were group stalking on the 210 freeway, and they were group stalking on the 134 and the 57, while the entity was molesting with engineer light. I'm being molested inside of Metro Nissan in the same way. While I'm writing it down, while I'm taking pictures of it, while I'm taking screenshots, the demons who are surrounding in the specific environment in Montclair inside of the Metro Nissan, inside and outside, because it's massive surveillance, you have the mental illness that is made manifest, the highly passive aggressive sex offenders and psychopaths and stalkers are engaging in sitting all around you, while inexplicable light flashes all inside of the building and touches on my person as well. And I'm going to drain the pockets of Metro Nissan for that, because they have the deepest pockets. But everybody is documented. Everybody that works here is a matter of record. Everybody that's here getting any services together, it's a matter of record. There's surveillance cameras maintain a matter of record, and that which the federal government will also have at its disposal, while my documentation serves as supplementary, okay, to prosecute the people of the state. While you have a gigantic criminal act that is all targeted at one person, okay? So this is sexual violence that, again, a business will be prosecuted for. So you're recognizing how the people of the state, while they are commercially facilitating the pattern of conduct, this is the prosecution for companies for sexual violence, okay? And this is because demons who are very mentally deranged, this is the mental illness, they engage in showing hostility through audible activity, through light activity, and through things such as stalking in a helicopter, okay? Those are the things that the entity, on the freeway, the entity engaged in an iteration of showing hostility by the demons showing up on motorcycle, and then failing to make
a point other than the fact that California is proud to be engaging in criminal conduct through corrupt law enforcement agencies and corrupt fire departments, all of whom are demon possessed. And so they arrived on video, reasonably anticipating the fact that I'm going to document it, and the fact that they're demon possessed. All of this is the foundation while they're on video stalking, okay? And it is not to be missed, and no federal agent, no federal judge is missing the fact that you are stalking while you're in front of me on the freeway under the fake sun amongst directed light. These are the mentally ill who need to be removed from law enforcement. And that's exactly what's going to happen. So anyway, it is currently 3:54 p.m. This is documentation of the criminal system that is underway, and it is an independent basis, and it's very easy to document everybody in these facilitating venues all around, inside and all around Metro Nissan, because Title 18 conduct is also underway, and that is an inescapable federal charge in addition to state surveillance. It is currently 3:54 p.m. and this is P.O.C. All right, I just captured video. It's currently 5:02 p.m. You will see video of the demon possession. That's what it's evidence of. While the entity engages in group stalking and helicopter in the specific environment, it is the evidence of the government that is demon possessed. License plate of third party 6BBD 280. That third party, let me be clear, the demon that is an employee working at Metro Nissan is going to federal prison, and the third party whose vehicle is being repaired is going to federal prison because they're group stalking together. It's a black Infiniti, again, license plate 6BBD 280. Group stalking with Montclair PD, who flew over my head in a black helicopter while the fake sun is right over my head, not at the leasing office of Alvarado Gardens, which is not going to be seen anywhere over Montclair, let alone right over the top of my head at Montclair, the same Montclair Metro Nissan where I arrived at 1:50 p.m., which is evidence of stationary non-movement of what is clearly not the sun. It's also not the sun while it's nowhere near what is the Alvarado Gardens apartments where the entity maintained a fake sun while you saw the same conduct using helicopters at that. That's the criminal conduct, which is why all of the people of the state that live at Alvarado Gardens are going to federal prison. All 59 units, they can move, they can scatter wherever they want. The federal government's going to find them, and I'm going to find them, and they're going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in this criminal conduct and is doing so mindful of the evidence that I captured, very damning evidence that's not helping the African-American woman who was as large as 2 houses. She's going to federal prison. This is the state conduct that she was engaging in while the entity flies over my head. The entity engages in criminal acts of intimidation, of harassment and terrorism as an entity while you document the fact that they are engaged in state surveillance, which you can see through the specific environment. So then you have the state that comes and corroborates everything that I just documented about the people. That's why the fake sun and the entity, the hallmark of stalking in a helicopter, and it is indeed stalking, and it's also very targeted because the federal government and everybody else in the world recognizes what the state of California is engaging in. So the entity does so. I'm going to document the entity by license plate, and I am at this venue where I captured, so you're going to pay attention both to the video documentation, all the images as well, I mean all of it, but I'm literally capturing podcasts after I just captured video of the entity stalking by helicopter and engaging in criminal summoning. This is the terrorizing conduct by demons who are hostile. This is the government's reaction to my exposing them. So they fly over my head by helicopter and sound sirens at the same time. That's speaking to the mental illness. That mental illness, that sex offender fills police departments in California. It's a public safety concern. License 8 LCS 966. License 9 FRP 636. License 8 BRF 599. She's an employee. She's going to federal prison. She's on camera walking out to her vehicle for purposes of light activity, and she also is monitoring and is aware of the fact that I'm getting ready to document. She's going to federal prison. 9 LPU 692. 9 LPU 693. These might be these are parked in the front of Metro Nissan, so these may very well be their loaners, for example, but they have license plates on them, so I'm going to document because a lot of the visitors park up here. DB91P55, that's a paper plate on a Nissan Sentra. License 73467F3. License, again, it is currently 5:05 p.m., and what the entity just did right now, it is literally to the demise of the people of the state, because the Montclair Police Department doesn't have any more future. Okay, the terrorist leader that is calling themselves a demon, that is calling themselves a chief of police, they are going to be removed, and the entire Montclair Police Department, whose evidence of demon possession and criminal engagement in the P.O.C. in Montclair, California is already evidence. 9 JPW 269, crossing path right now at Palo Verde and Autoplex. This is the same entity that was molesting me inside of my car. That is indeed stalking from LA County to
Montclair, San Bernardino County, engaging in a perpetual sex offense the entire way. That's why in Montclair, the entity flies over my head in a helicopter, and there's a grand departure with regard to what is clearly not the natural environment, the identification of demon-possessed stalkers that are engaged in group stalking. And that's why that's occurring, because everybody that I documented on the freeway, both while I'm reading, I want to be clear, the videos are filled with evidence. Even as I'm reading them, there are license plates that I'm not reading, and they are captured, and they're going to be prosecuted the same. So do not be mistaken thinking, oh, she didn't read that license plate, so that's not what that means at all. So I'm driving at the same time that I'm documenting. Everybody that is seen is going to be prosecuted. 5GMK291. So the entity is engaging in that crossing path parked on Palo Verde. So I just want to speak to what I just documented in the Metro, Nissan, and the Honda. It's Honda. This is a whole car plaza right here. They're all engaged in group stalking and federal stalking together. License 8ZML604. And they're engaging in a threat, terrorizing. Let me be clear. Federal group stalking and monitoring is a conspiracy to murder and or kidnap someone by engaging in what is group stalking, stalking as a population, and engaging in psychological torture. So that's what Honda, that's what Metro Nissan were just engaging in, and I'm going to prosecute that whole venue, the Metro Plaza. It's beyond that. But you're talking about draining the pockets. So where I'm at, that's why I document where I'm at. That's why I document the unnatural environment, because that's how you know what's going on. That's a readily capable, you are readily capable of identifying the crime scene where nobody has any constitutional protections. Okay, this is how the government is relying on masquerading, exploiting constitutional rights of the people of the state who are some unofficial secret service. Okay, and God bless you, whoever you are. This is not particular to you. I'm talking about the demon possessed. Okay, but these demons that haven't even graduated high school and cannot successfully complete arithmetic, such as 6 times 24, are group stalking me. Okay, and they're engaging in conduct, crawling into helicopters and calling themselves law enforcement officers. And let me be clear, you will have nothing ever to do with law enforcement and their entirely inept system, because it's not intelligent. And anyone, I'm teaching literally the world to identify it. It's not intelligent, it's not sophisticated or elite. Neither are any of the people engaging in it. And everyone is going to be punished based on the size of your contribution to the crime, while you are conspiring to murder or kidnap someone. And it includes the removal of demons who call themselves chiefs of police. You're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. There's no anonymity. The fact that that department's engaging in it is the evidence speaking to your removal and your prosecution for terrorism in the state of California. So congratulations, Montclair PD. You were already on the record. It was already coming. LAPD provided confirmation for what you were doing years ago. GODPTME. That's a crossing path. So the entity is engaging in that, and that's how every department is going to be prosecuted under the law for what the state of California is engaging in. And while the people of the state act with that corrupt government that doesn't have a prayer in federal court, you're going to federal prison. You're going straight to federal prison. And it includes when you go to a venue and the entire venue is surrounding you while the entity terrorizes you by stalking you in helicopters and psychologically tormenting and torturing you. Everybody in that location is going to federal prison. There's no other way to address that. There is no other way to adequately address what the entity is engaging in against one person. So you have that entire plaza, that auto plaza, at least you're talking about Metro Nissan? The employees Samantha and John Williams, I know those two demons' names. And also John Williams, if I believe it's John Williams, Jonathan Williams, it's Williams is his last name. He's a Caucasian male. He's filled with tattoos. I was sitting inside of the office talking to him right now, directed light all over the place, ricocheting all over the place. This is a passive-aggressive demon that's laughing and chit-chatting with me while he's monitoring me, and he's also aware of everything that I documented about him and everybody else at Metro Nissan. This is a passive-aggressive psychopath waiting to engage in an act to their own demise of retaliation while Montclair PD, an illegitimate and soon-to-be expired department, is waiting to fly over by helicopter, because they have still not learned that in 2024 you go to federal prison for that. And the chief of police is going to produce that name. It's going to be produced who's stalking in the helicopter, because they're going to federal prison. And if you don't want to produce it, you're going to federal prison for even longer. The information is going to be produced. It's currently 5:10 p.m. The entity is engaged in group stalking on the freeway, where a fake sun is now leaving Montclair, remaining directly over me, and is never setting in alignment. That was never the sun at Alvarado Gardens, which is why a whole apartment community is going to federal prison. Just exactly what you saw Metro Nissan and the Montclair Police Department, that's why the whole apartment complex at Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison. I can sing it melodically if you'd like. They're going to federal prison. All right, it is currently 5:10 p.m. I'm going to document NX741, that's a handicap plate crossing path. 9BSU 890 crossing path, 7ETU 016 crossing path, license 7BRJ679, 43064D3. Walmart is crossing path. This is a third-party group stalker. You identify the logo. You can take a picture of it because they're also group stalking at their facilitating venues. The LAPD flying over my head at Walmart in Burbank, California. The entity flying over my head at Walmart in Ontario, California. The entity flying over my head at Walmart in Upland, California. Okay, Walmart is a group stalker. You will identify the people of the state by anything, including the image of their logo. License 7NVK453. It is currently 5:11 p.m. It is, again, Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. The entity that is repairing my vehicle is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. This is P.O.C. All right, I want to document criminal summoning and doing so and almost causing an accident. And because, remember, the fire departments are group stalking. The fake sun is over me in Hacienda off of Hacienda Boulevard. And what is Gale Avenue, a license plate 9BXG874. They're going to federal prison for that. So I just want to be clear. It's criminal summoning, first of all. And second of all, it's almost causing an accident, a legitimate one for me. They're group stalking. So they're very much aware of my presence. The demon-possessed fire department is group stalking at the intersection. Fake Sun is outside in alignment with me at my driver's side window in Hacienda, another city I haven't been. The entity's keeping the Fake Sun in perfect alignment with me, like the entity was doing in Orange County, which is Costa Mesa. At this time I was at the car wash. Okay, they're crossing path again, and 9BXG874 is going to federal prison. 24L1202, a whole bunch of anxious demons who want to go, and the entity causing an accident, almost causing an accident, and doing so, that's remember, the entity engages in group stalking. You're already engaged in a conspiracy to murder and kidnap someone. You're literally engaging in that whilst group stalking at a traffic light where the light was green, and the entity is stopping abruptly while group stalking with the fire department, who crosses path with lights and sirens right now. All right, the entity is doing so under the Fake Sun that's nowhere near LA like the LA Fire Department did yesterday. 20221E2, federal prison as well. Okay, this is another demon out here in Hacienda. They're group stalking. And I want to be clear, make sure you pay attention to the pattern. As I drove out to Orange County, CHP is group stalking on the freeway en route to a different city, to a different region. While I was going from Los Angeles, remaining in Los Angeles, and drove out, left LA County, and went out to, left Los Angeles proper, and went to Monrovia, the entity was group stalking, criminal summoning on the freeway. That's what the entity was doing, which I documented on video. Following group stalking at the McDonald's in Monrovia, in Pasadena by helicopter. As I am driving to San Bernardino County today, the entity group stalking on motorcycle as I go from place to place. It's literally the state that is group stalking me as I go from venue to venue. When you're looking at the big picture of what the state of California is doing and what the population is doing, which is stalking, the entity is pay attention to that pattern. So I just want to point that out. I'm in another city. This is Hacienda, group stalking through the demon-possessed fire departments, and doing so again. This is the routine pattern if you pay attention. And as I pointed out, the demon-possessed that are paying attention to my pointing out, NIK 8A is group stalking at Valley and Hacienda, and they're going to federal prison. A demon-possessed law enforcement officer is crossing path. They're going to federal prison. And it's currently 5:29 p.m. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with regard to my movement from city to city, and that's what they're doing. If you pay attention to the video and everything that I'm capturing, you can see that pattern very clearly, and it is also evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring. The entire city, it's an ongoing alert. She's coming to the city, literally, as I go from place to place, okay? It is currently, again, 5:29 p.m. That's an ongoing, real-time threat to my life physically, as I am going to suffering a car accident while they're conspiring to murder and kidnap me, group stalking me, and stopping abruptly when we have the right of way. They're engaged in criminal conduct. That's what's causing the abrupt stop in front of me in traffic. So I want to document that. And that third party is going to federal prison because it's also criminal summoning. All right, so such acts of violence, such, again, threats with assaults with a deadly weapon, things of that nature, while you're group stalking, federal prison, okay? Theft of property, personal, anything that the entity inflicts against a targeted individual while you're group stalking, you go to federal prison for it. So you're talking about the threat of physical harm. I almost get in a car accident, not because I'm not paying attention, but because the entity is group stalking and engages in criminal summoning at the traffic light. And then as I documented, another demon crosses path. They didn't even sound their sirens. They just turned their lights on, the first demon in the fire truck. And then another one crosses path, which you hear the sirens doing so while I'm documenting. Okay, so again, the third party's license, they're going to federal prison. This is the entity, the same idiotic conduct. Remember, this criminal system, and that's a threat The high level of unintelligence is a threat to your life. Any intellectually impotent person is participating in a conspiracy to murder and kidnap you. You do not have any advanced degree necessarily. You don't even need it to be a law enforcement officer. And I am arguing the fact against that. You need to have at least a college degree. That's the foundational issue here. You have too much toxicity, all this bravado. What award are you winning? What sort of applause are you getting? That is has anything to do with what you're actually doing. You're proud of the fact that you're stalking someone because I said you're cowards, which you are. You're stalking a woman. You're group stalking her. And why are you consumed with that? And then you go home to your wife or your girlfriend or your mistress, whatever you do, and then with your kids, and you are telling yourself, lying to yourself, like you're not a psychopath, like you're not a sex offender, like you're not a threat to the public, while you bear weapons and whatnot. You're mentally unstable. And you're stalking people in fire trucks. Like, you're supposed to be appearing as a hero, and you're not when you're group stalking. ATWC 404. So I just want to be clear. NIK 8A is going to federal prison. Group stalking with a corrupt law enforcement agency. Group stalking while the fake sun is over me, and I'll capture that while I'm in the depths of the city of Hacienda. So is the fake sun, and so are the demons who are engaging in the same procession, if you will. As I go from city to city, the entity is aware of that, and they engage in arriving. That's what they were doing on video this afternoon. All right. And also the entity, the sore loser that are the demon possessed, they're hostile. And just like, again, rabies infected animals that are foaming at the mouth and barking, and they can't even, they go blind, and they're blinded with fury as well, while they're molesting with engineered light and amplified audible, and all of it is going to their prosecution. It's terrorism that the ordinary targeted individual has right and reasonably fears, while people that are animalistic are stalking them. That's terrorism, and that goes to the deep pockets. I'm going to prosecute you civilly and criminally, and you're also going to federal prison while the animals start stalking helicopters and sounding sirens, communicating a threat directly. Why? Because you're sore, you're mad that you're losing at stalking someone. Psychopath, mental illness, very much highlighted in that, okay? It's currently 5:33 p.m. This is the P.O.C. in Hacienda. I'm at Fairgrove and Hacienda Boulevard, where the light source is remaining over me, and that's why NIK 8A is going to federal prison. And the other license plates, while there is an inherent threat while the entity is group stalking you and I have to drive around, these are weapons that the people of the state are in. These are all weapons, including the demons that call themselves police departments and fire departments. Vehicles are machines, very dangerous machines. They're group stalking using these vehicles. That's a threat as well. I just want to make sure that I clearly articulate all the threats that are posed by the entity that's conspiring to murder and kidnap you. Engaging in criminal summoning is a threat to your life, as I just experienced and just documented. And the third party in front of me is going to federal prison. All right, that would not have been an accident. That would have been taken down and noted as an accident by the ordinary target individual. That's what they would have suffered, and it's physical harm that they suffered because of the criminal system that the state's engaging in. 33481R3 9JFP877. This is P.O.C. and I'm going to capture the light source outside of my driver's side window while I'm in Hacienda, California, and a bunch of demons are stalking. P.O.C. license 9MKN753 5SMU152. This is P.O.C. Documenting everybody who's going to federal prison. 8C82779 8BZV843. I'm being molested with engineered light, and you will see in the images that I just captured the entity West Covina Police, a demon infected, a corrupt department who is group stalking under the fake sun that's over West Covina right outside of my window. And I'm also being accosted, I'm being molested, I'm being terrorized and harassed with engineered light, directed light, speaking to the demonic behavior that the West Covina Police Department are participating in with the people of the state. License BRRV 419 is also going to federal prison. And their crossing path, which is what I captured in the still image. License WXAOHW. It is currently 5:41 p.m. That's the significance of the pictures you'll see that I just captured at the West Covina Plaza. I'm adjacent to the 10 freeway. This is the scientific impossibility that the sun would be in any position, again, remaining perfect alignment with me, okay? While I'm in West Covina, that's not coexisting with the presence of the so-called sun at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles. At this time in alignment with my bedroom window, as though that's sunlight on my ceiling, and as though that's the sun in perfect alignment at the same property 11 hours after I captured in the morning, every morning. Okay, that's how you know that, first of all, the West Covina Police Department are demon possessed, and they're fully engaged in the same exact criminal system exposing public corruption. This is the ability to systematically cleanse this region. You're talking about removing all these demon-possessed corrupt leaders, all the chief of police. They're all terrorists, okay? They're all stalkers, closeted psychopaths and sex offenders, engaging in demonic methods of targeting with a demon-possessed population whose license plates I just read right now. They're all going to federal prison. They're all going to federal prison. It's currently 5:42 p.m. at Workman and Vincent. Okay, I want to document terrorism via directed light. This is a sex offender driving a gray Accord 8XYP567. Sex offender with the one that's going to federal prison, 8RRV419, is a sex offender as well. He is a demon and so is his wife, and they engage in sexual violence together. 9BBW495, 4XER829, demons who are engaging in terrorism. And in California, demons do so on the run. 9AXC890, they do so while they go get their latte at the third-party facilitating venue of Starbucks. They do so while they go to the bank and invade your privacy at Chase Bank. They do so while they're stalking you in the traffic lanes on the freeway. Okay? It is currently 5:43 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, this is criminal summoning. Arcadia Police License 1424083. This is criminal summoning fake son. License 6FCA983. Criminal summoning. They're monitoring together. Let me show you the fake son. They're both going to federal prison, both of them. 8KLG025 is group stalking as well. 5JIT140. And the demon that I just documented in still images, you'll see Nevada plates. As I capture images, these demons who are already stalking just engage. Remember, a traffic stop under the fake sun and an injured light is P.O.C. That's how the demon possessed who were group stalking the Arcadia Fire Department, you already know what they're doing. In the same city, Monrovia, literally the same street, Huntington, the fake sun is over me. That's how the demon possessed population engage in group stalking the target individual together. That's a demon possessed law enforcement officer. That's a demon possessed third party. And they're group stalking me together under the fake sun. I want to be clear, they're both going to federal prison. I just documented their license plates. That's P.O.C. The third parties whose license plates I'm documenting with them in this video are going to federal prison as well. They're group stalking all as one. And the Arcadia police are engaging in that because I just documented, I followed a demon who's engaging in psychotic light activity. I followed this demon into this parking lot. You'll see the pictures as I'm driving into the driveway, and they've got Nevada plates. I'm documenting terrorism via directed light by all of these demons. And then you're talking about what's supposed to be a legitimate traffic stop. It's the same exact P.O.C. 8WMH 827 is also group stalking by maintaining criminal presence. And look at the light activity you just saw here. They're going to federal prison. They're group stalking with Arcadia PD who are stalking in the path. That's why that light activity coexists. Let me be clear. I'm going to get these license plates back here. Let me go get these demons right here. They're going to federal prison. And then I'm going to conclude this video. Yeah, license 8. Hold on, let me get this demon, because they're going to federal prison. You saw the light activity. You could see it clearly. Thankfully, it was at an angle where you could saw where you could see it. And they're group stalking with the demons that want to look like they're doing something related to their duties. That officer, that third party is going to federal prison, and so are they. 8DXC554. Look at the light activity. You'll see it right here. While they're crossing path, that's a sex offense that the whole population is engaging in. I wrote down lists of third parties who are going to federal prison, group stalking on the freeways, molesting just like this demon did on video. While they're group stalking with Arcadia PD, they're going to federal prison. P.O.C. Okay, let me be clear. Everybody in the parking lot, everybody in the buildings are group stalking. I'm isolating those that are engaging in the conduct as I'm subject to it. That's P.O.C. over here. That's a demon. That's called light activity, relevant positioning. The light activity and the fake sun is where a traffic stop is occurring. This is how the demon possessed engage in group stalking. And this demon knows that he's on camera, knows what I'm stating, is actually focused on another person while outwardly conducting themselves as though they're doing something related to their duties. This is how public corruption appears in California. These are the same demons stalking in the Arcadia Fire Department. They were group stalking on this same street at the Town Place Suites by Marriott. The 9 o'clock hour, the fake sun was over me at that hotel. This is the same street in Monrovia, is right down the street. I'm off of Huntington. This is indeed P.O.C. All right, the license plate that I'm specifically named federal prison. That officer, he's going to federal prison. That license plate will identify where I'm at, and that state actor that's using that vehicle to engage in criminal conduct, terrorism, and federal stalking. 2 independent bases. In addition to any and everything that's related to the P.O.C. But I want to be clear, they're both going, the third party and the state actor are going to federal prison together. And the terrorist that engaged in filling my vehicle with light activity when you're driving by, that's not a natural occurrence. surveillance. And the whole population is doing that over and over and over again. Understand the sex offense that will be the prosecution of the demon-possessed entity that's keeping you under surveillance and engaging in ongoing molestation. While they are also engaging in what is sexual violence in the natural, that is keeping you under surveillance while you're in a private space, okay? While they're keeping you under surveillance, they want to physically touch you with engineer light to keep you under surveillance. They also want to listen to you and watch you in a private space. All manner of sexual violence, hiding a uniform and a badge, and the use of a police vehicle. He's going to lose all of the above. He's going to federal prison. P.O.C, you need to know what the whole department is and what's wrong with the whole department that this officer is exhibiting, and it's demon possession. This is criminal activity. And it's currently 7:02 p.m. This is with what the Costa Mesa Police Department were engaging in, the so-called sunset at Baker and Fairview. That's also how you know that that's a demon and that's a criminal act. It's criminal summoning. That's the textbook P.O.C for the demon-possessed police officers. Okay? And you already know what the people of the state are doing. So now they're at a traffic stop. Now you're understanding how the P.O.C works. It's all about the targeting individual. License plate CRYLA, crossing path by stalking in a drive-thru. Crossing path, light activity, relevant positioning, and the demon is using a police vehicle to engage in facilitation. They're facilitating each other's criminal conduct. That's federal prison. Just want to point that out. That's P.O.C. It's currently 7:03 p.m. and there's the fake sun in perfect alignment with me, as opposed to being in the intersection of Baker and Fairview in Costa Mesa, like I documented the demon-possessed and corrupt agency, the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and the Costa Mesa Police Department. That's impossible to coexist, and it's also not in alignment. This is not seen through the bedroom window of 1806 Department number 6. You're recognizing the P.O.C now as I go from place to place, and you're looking at the ongoing pattern. That's the P.O.C. This is literally monitoring with the state Title 18. And those that aren't natural-born citizens, you deport them. They're monitoring by being inside of the venue. They're monitoring while they walk out. Remember, they're creating activity, and they're monitoring, and they're engaged in surveillance online. So this license plate, license 9LZX011, P.O.C. That is P.O.C. That's federal prison for all that I just mentioned, okay? That's P.O.C. There's the fake sun. This is activity creation. And while they do something like this, engineer light molests my person. That's a demon and that's a sex offender. That's a group stalker. All right. Group stalking with the police equals federal prison for both that demon-possessed officer. That's disbanding of that corrupt department. That's removal and prosecution of that demon-possessed chief of police. And that's federal prison for the entity that's engaging in any means of facilitation, just like this. That's textbook P.O.C. They're both going to federal prison. P.O.C. All right, documenting another iteration of criminal summoning. Here you go here. Stalking in the path while the fake sun is now over me at Huntington. The people of the state go to federal prison for this, okay? You have that are obsessively engaged in group stalking. License plate 9LZU731. And I'll show you the fake sun. That's the light source right here. This is where the entity you saw in the previous video, engineer light moving across. They're all the same demons. 9FDX311, 8MLW628, license J993, handicap, and they're group stalking with Monrovia PD, excuse me, Arcadia PD. That's a police department that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's criminal summoning. All right, doing so in the specific environment off of Huntington. Remember, at Huntington, at this time, the entity is keeping a fake sun, stalking by helicopter, engaging in criminal summoning, pacing out Myrtle and Huntington, where the light source is seen through the window. That is not going to be seen through the window of off of Huntington, which is this way, Town Place Suites by Marriott. And it's also not in alignment with the bedroom window at Alvarado Gardens. It's also not seen anywhere in San Bernardino County over me while Ontario Police Department are stalking in a helicopter while the fake sun is still at the Ovid Family Community Library in perfect alignment with me. That's how you're recognizing demon possession exhibited by corrupt police departments who are stalking in the path with light activity in relevant position, and the ongoing audible activity creation 9MUN660. That's federal prison. The entity is surrounding on an ongoing basis with the elements of monitoring with terrorist organizations that are not legitimate law enforcement agencies. They're all driving in engineer light. If the sun is over the Ovid Family Community Library, then what are they driving in? And what sort of sunlight ricochets inside of my car like you saw in that previous video? It's the same demonic behavior by this third party. License 9 FKT717. This is P.O.C. at 7:10 p.m. going down another corner, and you're seeing the terrorist organizations, the police that are stalking every corner, remaining present, stalking with the path of light activity. You directly punish the people of the state who are engaging in that conduct with them. This is how they terrorize and threaten the target individual ordinarily that doesn't have the P.O.C, that doesn't have any laws to protect them. So you prosecute them. They'll go in cages for what they're doing with the state. And it's called psychological torture and harassment and terrorism by an entity while they're stalking together. That's the fake sun. This is P.O.C. All right, I want you to recognize, I just took a picture of Arcadia police stalking in front. Here's another one over here. 7GJB610, 7XVR175, 9GJU733. They're stalking right here in front of this vehicle, this third party, and the state is surrounding, okay? That's them stalking right up there. That's them stalking in relevant position. And the fake me, everybody surrounding is stalking with them. It's all Title 18 conduct. Everybody's going to federal prison. 7DZH939, P.O.C. Arcadia police stalking, driving by. I took a picture of that. Arcadia police in front of me. That's called group stalking. That's what they're doing. There's the fake sun. The scientific impossibility, the demons surround. Driving police vehicles. Stalking using their helicopters as well. Okay? The chief of police, the entire police department, P.O.C. It is currently 7:13 p.m. All right, it is currently 7:58 p.m. I just captured video of the pattern of conduct that is underway, basically because I've already established the P.O.C. that is underway everywhere that I'm going. But I literally captured the state stalking by plane, flying directly over the top of my head, waiting until the moment that I get out of my vehicle in order to cross path with the plane, amplified in sound. And this is the specific environment where you can see the amber colored sky, as though this is where the sun set. This is where the demon possessed group stalkers will surround in the specific environment. And this is where the entity will be engaging in setting a sun. That's a light source. This is the demonic, which colors what the pattern of conduct is. The pattern of conduct is demonic, and I'm documenting criminal presence at a third-party facilitating venue 225. I believe this is Santa Anita. This is Motel 6. I'm going to document specifically the address in one moment. But this is the Motel 6 in Arcadia, and the building address is 225. License plate 8MBJ319. 90923B2. And the people of the state are already aware, on notice, that I'm coming to this venue, not only because I'm in the city and you're looking at the stalking by the police departments and by planes and helicopters everywhere I go, but also because my GPS, my communication device is subject to surveillance. So the entity, when you put in Motel 6 Arcade, the entity is already expecting specifically that you're going. They're already on notice with regard to the region, my presence in the city, wherever it is that I'm headed. So just want to point that out. 8HYN770. 58D ECN, that's Florida. BL92N58, that's paper. 5LPK070. 8CAK353. And it's currently 8 p.m. at Motel 6. License 6V11441. License plate 9FYU082 5PA76R, that is Arizona. License 9COA442 4TTJ414 ATA49P, that's Arizona. And the property does also have surveillance camera on it, and everything that's documented. For example, the Asian male with the orange shirt and the gray pants on, walking around with his cell phone, looking at his cell phone. He's engaged in demonic pacing, walking in and out of their rooms, getting their stuff out of their bags. The entity waits for the moment to engage in crossing a path, so they will leave things. This is nothing other than the outward veneer for what is demonic pacing. That's all they're doing. It doesn't matter what they're carrying. It doesn't matter how important they want to make it look. They can be carrying a body under the fake sun and an engineer light. It's demonic pacing. They're group stalking. And as you saw, the entity goes to the lengths of having a car crash in the specific environment. And that's supposed to be the explanation for the presence of the state, which is a threat to the life. And it's supposed to be the explanation for the people of the state using light activity while I've shown you their pattern of conduct. And it's the same P.O.C. And as you engage in the same exact conduct with the state directly, you're going to federal prison. I don't care if you're bandaged up from the accident that you were in, you're going to federal prison. 7DMN844, 7MLU280, 7LMH602, 84A196, that's Nevada. 7ZA56L, Arizona. 7TYWO61. 020X70, that's Nevada. CB542, that's handicap. 7GBF 768, 5YSB 758, 8TBB 726, 7WOE 364, 92526M1, 6ZFY013, 6CXS343, 9BKX317, 8VRH302, 5TJT901, 9HUM802, 7NMG553, 9BRC347, 566X32, that's Nevada, ET515, that's handicap, M193C0. 8R10736, 9HTL961, 8AZZ877, 7VGX700, 8HAX093, 8NMM697, RILECO. And as you'll recall, you're learning more and more. Again, assuming that you have not been paying attention to the documentation that has been on the record for years, but you're learning more and more about the sex offender and the demons that are the people of the state, and how they are at the same level as the demons who are calling themselves law enforcement agencies. Those are demons, and they are the same sex offender, the same demon-possessed psychopath. And so you're understanding the public safety concern, because this is an absolute psychotic criminal pattern of conduct, which is revealing a criminal conspiracy to murder and kidnap someone while keeping a targeted individual under surveillance together, and outwardly designed to appear as though it is normal everyday life society. That's maliciously designed to paint the targeted individual as suffering from some mental incapacity. That is the malice and the impunity with which the entity conspires to murder and kidnap someone. License plate, crossing path in the parking lot. License plate 7VFA145. I believe I read that license plate, but just want to go ahead and recite it again. The crossing path. One moment. Actually, I'll pause this. Hold on. That is 8RYY802. That's a sex offender. I'm going to prosecute her for being a sex offender, molesting. You'll see the engineer light on the building that I just took a picture of. And here are my shadows that are all beside me. This demon comes up behind me to touch me with lights, and that's why she drives right off after she molested with light, and then she drove off running away because she knows that I have the camera. That's speaking to the obsession. The demons will molest you. They will stalk you. They will follow you around, and they will even risk going to federal prison to continue to engage in that. And they do that on behalf of the government that's stalking in planes and helicopters and in police vehicles like Monrovia and Arcadia and Montclair demonstrated today. Okay, this is in engineered light. It is indeed a sex offense. Touching all over my person with engineered light is a sex offense. And these are the demons who are in relevant position all around room 30. These are the demons who are maintaining criminal surveillance all around room 130, room 129, room 231, right above room 232, 233 adjacent, 131 right next door. These are the demons who are engaged in criminal surveillance in concert with the demons who make it a purpose to touch your body with light, just like they were doing on the freeway and the fake sun remained over me. That third party is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, and that is also grounds of federal prison. The entity that engages in sexual violence with impunity. She literally engaged in a sexual molestation of my person and then ran off. That's literally what that demon just did. It's not funny. It's so sick that it is absurdly sexual, what the entity, the predatory mindset that the demon possessed maintain. And while they're all engaged in criminal surveillance, they're all engaged in invasion of privacy together, and they're doing so in the engineered environment. And so I just want to be clear, they're all staying at a hotel where I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shadows around. They're engaged in surveillance. This is the specific environment. This is the specific environment. This is not the natural environment. This is group stalking indeed. Motel 6 is the third-party facilitating venue. It's engineered light at night. And while I'm documenting a demon that came out of nowhere, meaning they all know where I'm at and what I'm doing, that's what surveillance is. That's what demonic activity is. That's what the demons maintain awareness of. And they're also sex offenders while my genitalia is exposed. Demons above my room, stalking with amplified audible activity, just like at Town Place Suites by Marriott, just like at Courtyard by Marriott, okay? Just like at Alvarado Gardens, just like at every other location where I'm at, the ongoing corporate invasion of privacy, and they are maintaining presence on behalf of the government. This is state action. Motel 6 is not operating a legitimate business. Motel 6 is a facilitating venue, providing a place for the people and the state to engage in criminal surveillance, to engage in group stalking. This is group stalking by placement all around me. Okay, the airspace, they're group stalking, and demons coming around to participate in a sex offense. And that's the state, and that's going to be the prosecution of the state that just engaged in touching all over my person. Excuse my language, if that was a woman, she would not have consent to touch me with her hands, and that demon certainly does have consent to touch me with light while she wants to surveil me. That's a psychopath that has that purpose, and that's a sex offender that has that mindset. That's a predatory mindset. You're going to prosecute for that. That's very sick and disturbing. Very disturbing. And you have a population. That's what they're engaging in all day long. And it's not different from the police departments. That's their same purpose, the same objective. The same sexual violence is on their mind and is their objective, to keep you under surveillance and group stalk. And that is the same condition of all the demons that are on the property. Their license plates are on the record. That was a sex offense committed by all of them, not just that one person. They're all going to be prosecuted for sexual violence. They're all monitoring while my body is touched with engineer light so that they can engage in the P.O.C. and while engineer light remains all over. Okay.